Hey, what's up? It's Anthony Marley Love with TWB, and welcome to our first episode of 2024. If you've been a subscriber for a while, then you know the first episodes of the year is dedicated to our Perspective Mover series.
Yes, our Perspective Mover series is a series where we go to places around Seattle and Western Washington and showcase them in case you are planning on moving to the area.
For this episode, the first episode of 2024, we are covering a historic and pretty well-known neighborhood right here in Seattle, Queen Anne.
Yes, so take a look at this episode, and as always, let us know what you think.
Hey, what's up? I'm Anthony.
And I'm Marley. Welcome to Traveling While Black.
On the original land of the Duwamish peoples, northwest of Seattle's downtown, sits a neighborhood that contains quite a bit of the city's history, local attractions, and best views. That neighborhood is known as Queen Anne.
The reason Queen Anne can contain so much is because it covers a large area. In fact, Queen Anne is so large it is divided up into sub-neighborhoods known as North Queen Anne, West Queen Anne, East Queen Anne, and Uptown, aka Lower Queen Anne.
Look, you could cut it up more than that, and some do. But for the sake of this episode, we'll just break it down like this. There's Lower Queen Anne, which is now referred to as Uptown. That's where you'll find famous attractions like Mopop, Paxi, and of course, the famous Space Needle.
Upper Queen Anne is a lot different than its lower part. Following Queen Anne Avenue north up the hill, you'll reach more residential homes, some pretty impressive ones too, the further up the hill you go. Further north sits Seattle Pacific University campus.
But what could be considered Queen Anne's most prized gem is located in the section tucked between the upper and lower sections in West Queen Anne. Because it sits on the western slope facing the Inner Bay, this part of the neighborhood features the stunning views of Magnolia, Elliott Bay, and the beautiful Olympic Mountains. And most agree that it offers the best views in the city.
Queen Anne is not only one of the largest and highest points in the city, it is also one of the oldest. So it would be no surprise that the neighborhood hosts an interesting history.
The neighborhood was originally named Eden Hill, a name inspired from the area's natural beauty and, of course, the hills. The neighborhood's formation began in 1853 with David Denny staking a claim to what would become Lower Queen Anne.
As the city continued to grow, the wealthy residents would begin to build their homes on the northern part of the neighborhood, higher on the hill. This would contribute to the neighborhood's name change to Queen Anne in 1885, inspired by the new popular style of houses that dominated the area.
The neighborhood would also host some important historic advancements in television. The first TV broadcast in the Pacific Northwest actually originated from the neighborhood in 1948. And the neighborhood's television contribution continued into modern times, with the scenes of Seattle featured in Grey's Anatomy being primarily footage shot from Cary Park. And it's even been featured in some movies like 10 Things I Hate About You.
But the historic event that had the greatest impact on Queen Anne has to be the 1962 Seattle World's Fair. See, it was because of the World's Fair that some of the neighborhood's most popular attractions were built, the most famous of all, the Space Needle. Today, the neighborhood has continued to come a long way. We suppose one could say for both the good and the bad.
What could ever come along and be considered bad? Well, the cost of everything. See, like all of Seattle, Queen Anne has experienced an increase in cost of living. But for Queen Anne, it is one of the more expensive neighborhoods within the city.
On the bright side, the neighborhood features a wide array of home types, from large family-sized homes to different types of apartment complexes. Plus, residents have options for plenty of things to do, from the local attractions when friends and family come to visit, to the tons of restaurants, bars, and shops to choose from.
For those with school-age house members who may be considering a move to the neighborhood, while the neighborhood doesn't have a high school, it does have some highly rated elementary schools.
In regards to the demographic makeup of the residents in the neighborhood, we will cover that in our Comfortability for Black People rating. But so far, you can see that on its surface, the neighborhood has the opportunity to be attractive to a variety of different potential movers.
But before we can give it an appropriate grade, you know we had to check it out for ourselves. Drive grade. We want to remind you, for the next couple of episodes, we are going to base Drive Grade on how accessible the neighborhoods are to such things as entertainment and major highways, as well as how easy it is to get around the neighborhood, and finally, the neighborhood's proximity to any schools in the area.
Again, we will mention that Queen Anne isn't short of options for entertainment and things to do. The problem is accessing those options. Getting through certain parts of the neighborhood can seem somewhat impossible sometimes.
This being the case in like the area of Uptown makes a lot of sense, being that that's where the tourist attractions are. And while it becomes less of a problem the further north you go, it is still a tight squeeze in certain places. And the parking is just as scarce. Well, at least it's free.
And depending on where you're coming from, even driving to get to the neighborhood can be a daunting task. Yes, Queen Anne has a lot to offer, but driving in and around it is just not where it's at.
Based on our perspective mover scale, we give Queen Anne a 2 out of 5 for Drive Grade.
Level of fun. So for the next couple of episodes, our level of fun grade will be based simply on the overall vibe of the neighborhood, as well as the quality and quantity of options within for food, entertainment, and leisure.
Since you probably already know about those popular attractions, we will focus on breaking down the spots within the neighborhood you'd be more likely to frequent if you were living there.
For the first place, we wanted to pick a place that would be a major key for anyone living in Seattle, a coffee shop. And the coffee shop we chose was Queen Anne Coffee.
We chose this particular shop based solely on the name. Why? Because it made sense. The shop is located at 1811 Queen Anne Avenue North, and it was pretty easy to find. Also, the parking was free.
On the inside, the shop reflected a place whose reviews said offered delicious treats and great coffee. Right away, we knew we made the right choice.
Our decision was only more validated after tasting the coffee. We can most definitely recommend it as a great choice for a coffee shop for any potential Queen Anne resident. It's also pretty dope that it's LGBTQ and woman-owned.
The coffee was a great start, but we needed a place to grab a bite to eat, and not only that, a good cocktail.
For that, we headed to 706 Taylor Avenue North, Citizen Cafe and Bar, a spot that looked like we can grab a good meal and have fun at the same time.
Citizen isn't very big on the inside, but on the outside it offers quite a bit. Everything from fire pits to a whole nother bar.
Unfortunately, the day and time of our visit, all of this was closed. Nope, it is only Wednesday and Thursday 4 p.m. to close and Friday through Sunday 8 a.m. to close. The area turns into what it claims to be one of the best beer gardens in Seattle during its campfire event.
Yep, not this day, but still we went inside and grabbed some brunch. The food was pretty good and so were the drinks. We could definitely see this being a potential really cool place to hang out for a potential resident.
For the last spot, we couldn't help ourselves. We had to hit up one of the famous locations located within Queen Anne. But it's still a place that actual residents can still appreciate. I'm talking about Cary Park.
To be honest, Cary Park is pretty simple. I mean, it doesn't offer a lot on the surface. Well, I guess there's a playground and a basketball court located in the small park below.
That's if you can do the walk back up.
But little as it may be, what it offers is worth 1,000 options, and that is one of the best views in the city.
Yeah, this can never get old. While we took in the view, we thought about our experience in Queen Anne and what we could rate it for fun, thinking as a potential future resident.
We were giving it a high score.
I mean, who are we kidding? In this neighborhood, you can never be bored. All you have to do is just ride down the street and hit up Mopop, the Space Needle, and more.
Yes, this neighborhood has a lot to offer. Along with the awesome options we covered during this visit, this is why it's no surprise that for Queen Anne, we give a 5 out of 5 for a level of fun.
Comfortability for Black people. Of course, nothing's changed as far as how we are basing our comfort level for Black people rating.
But we will start off a bit differently than usual by first diving into the numbers, specifically the racial demographics of the neighborhood.
The numbers break down like this in regards to diversity. These numbers do include the neighboring Magnolia neighborhood. 61.6% are white. Asian is the largest minority group at 20.4%. And as for us, only 4.1% of Black or African American residents reside in the neighborhood.
In regards to the demographic makeup in other areas that may be of interest, is 90% of the households don't have kids. And what's interesting is that the median age of residents is 34.
These numbers may or may not mean much to every potential resident, But what is important to a lot more potential residents was how we felt during our time within the neighborhood.
We can honestly say that we felt comfortable during our visit throughout the whole neighborhood. Everything including the friendly conversation in the retail store, the welcoming experience buying coffee from the local neighborhood namesake coffee shop, and enjoying the delicious brunch at the hippest neighborhood hangout spot.
And as you already guessed, our experience at Cary Park taking in the views was extremely comfortable. So perhaps the current lack of black residents isn't a big deal. Anyway, I suppose, with the city tourist attractions just down the street, you wouldn't have to go far to see a variety of different people all the time.
Yes, overall, we enjoyed our time spent in Queen Anne, and if you're interested in a neighborhood that offers plenty of options for things to do, even though it doesn't have a lot of black residents today, we can definitely recommend Queen Anne for your consideration.
Based on all of that, along with our experience, we give Queen Anne a 5 out of 5 for comfortability for black people. We hope you found this episode to be helpful and entertaining. Be sure to check out our previous episodes.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on all of our social media platforms.
Until next time, beautiful people, stay up, stay true, and do you.